Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Can you all slowly switch on the videos? We'll start the session soon. Okay, let's all begin the session. I think some people are still joining. Sit with the eyes closed. We'll begin with one chanting of Om. Om. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. I hope you guys have your notepads, notebooks ready with you. The reason why I thought I will do this session is because some of us are very much interested in looking at yoga beyond the asanas and want to know more deeper about it. Today's session is about the 8 limbs of yoga, 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga. We all might have heard about it. What are the 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga or Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga? You might have heard about it. Whether you might have heard or not, we'll anyway try to understand what is it, why was it prescribed, and the relevance that we can bring from the relevance that it carries in the day-to-day life. That's what we are going to be looking at. Maybe towards the end, for the 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, we will do Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can ask me then. Yeah. And those of you who are doing the recording, who are going to be watching the recording much later, I would like to welcome you as well. Thank you for all of you to join because it's a Sunday and it's a noon time and you all have chosen to join. So many wanted to join, and actually some of you actually have showed up. It shows your dedication. It shows your commitment. Yeah. Thank you for that. What is this Ashtanga yoga? Yeah, you might have heard about this. So basically, Patanjali is a Maharishi. He's the one who kind of compiled the Yoga Sutras. It is not something he wrote. You can call it as compiled it. And the reason for these Yoga Sutras, the reason why he wrote it, is about getting into the path of yoga. This Ashtanga yoga, this 8-fold path, is for liberation. Yeah, that's why it's called Ashtanga, or 8 limbs. Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs, right? What are they? Maybe many of you might have heard of it, which is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Yeah. We'll go through them. We'll go through these one by one. Where has he mentioned it? Okay. In chapter 2, Sadhanapada, in verse 29, he's spoken about these 8 limbs, Ashtanga Yoga. Yeah. There are 4 chapters to Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which is Samadhipada, then Sadhanapada, then Vibhudipada, and then Kaivalyapada. So each talks about various stages, various aspects of yoga, and we'll talk more about it when we talk about Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Today we'll restrict ourselves to the conversation about the 8 limbs of yoga, right? So we know the why, right? It is about a liberation. Yeah, the liberation from what? Liberation see, we all go through this day to day in the conversation. It exists very much. This talk about mental health, yeah, mental awareness, depression, anxiety, panic attack. A little more easy to understand things like guilt, shame, jealousy, um, anger. So many negative emotions are there, right? Even though this may seem negative, yeah, we are also we also can get trapped into the positives as well. All right. Any kind of attachment to any of these states can lead to suffering. Suffering is of various types, various varieties. What we spoke about is one. In various, like any kind of attachment to something good is also suffering. So basically, the reason for talking about moksha, the liberation, is liberation from suffering. All right. So one of the path he speaks about, one of the way to go about it is taking charge of the mind and the body. Yeah, taking charge. You can still call the body as mind also. Okay. And when you start taking charge of the mind, he speaks about it in various ways. How do you control the environment? How do you control the body through asanas, through pranayam, through meditation? When you take charge of it, you have a little more distance from your suffering. You get freedom. You have that moksha, right? Um, and in the process, you also get to know your true self. Yeah, whatever yourself you understood as, that changes. You get connected to the deeper version of self, the universal self, right? Um, that's what the whole path of yoga is about. And now that's the liberation that he's referring to here. Okay. Now let's come to the 8 limbs of yoga. What are the 8 limbs? Yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay. Now, if you look at yamas and niyamas, yamas and niyamas, you can think of it like rules and regulations. Let's start with yamas. Okay. Yama, again, has 5 aspects to it: Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. Okay. These, if you look at it, yeah, these are mostly external world, outwardly. Like the code and conduct on how to conduct ourselves in a society, how to relate with others in the society, what are the disciplines and practices that we can do or perform or hold, that is primarily concerned with the external, not internal, and the way we interact with the external, because we are not living alone. We are living with the society, we are living in families, we are living with friends, we are living with partners, we are living with acquaintances, we are living with enemies, frenemies, we are living with colleagues. Yeah? So if you are in the path of yoga, you still need to know how do you conduct yourself, how do you relate yourself. This kind of gives some rules, some guidance towards how do you relate to that in such a way so you can progress or proceed in the path of yoga. Okay. You can even call it as morals, you can even call it as rules, or some of it may correlate with the legal aspect of the society of a particular country or a particular state. Some of it may not, but you still can uphold, and it most of the time aligns with predominantly in all cultures. Okay, let's look at it a little more deeper. Okay, so Satya, the first one is Satya. Satya is very obvious: truthfulness, being truthful, being authentic. Yeah, there is a very famous saying, modern saying, that it is, for many of us, it is easy to be truthful to others than to ourselves. Or otherwise, like, we don't lie to others, but we lie to ourselves a lot. Even so, both of this count as that. Even white lies that we tell, you know, You may not want to think of it as some rigid structure where you start telling the truth only everywhere. Yeah. Um, we do these little things like when we are negotiating. Oh no, I can't afford, or saying that I don't have money, or very simple, small white lies also, right? What you want to do is you want to move from place of lying all the time towards just reducing. Even if you can reduce one lie a day, right? You move in the direction of truthfulness. If we are trying to change everything in one day, it can be too much for the system, then it will have a repercussion elsewhere. So how do you apply it practically is you start looking at how can I start being more truthful, little more aligned towards truth. You don't want to look at it as 1 or 0. You want to think of it as like a fan regulator, slowly moving in the direction of being truthful, right? Because especially in this current society where a lot of times chalta hai happens. Ah, chalta hai, ye chalta hai, wo chalta hai na? Isn't it so? Right? So that's why it is very important to understand the importance of truthfulness. That's the first thing he talks about. Being authentic, being honest. Yeah. And many times it pays off much later. It may seem like you lose, like you tell someone that how you really feel. It may be negative, but you may lose them for a short period, but then you may gain a much deeper, much better friend. Right? If you can't do that, at least start by practicing truthfulness to yourself, admitting to yourself. Okay, for example, my goal was to walk 10,000 steps daily. Okay. And the truth of the matter is you did not, like you could not. Now, first admit that, okay, I did not. And sometimes many people very funnily say, no, my boss wanted me to work a little extra. No, my kid needed extra time. Like, I had to spend some time. Or, uh, no, uh, no, this person made it happen. Because of that person, it happened. The first step towards coming closer to the truth is, okay, it is my responsibility. Instead of blaming outsiders, okay, I didn't make it happen. It's not a blame, it's not a bad thing, but taking responsibility, saying that, okay, I didn't make it happen. This is the reality. Let me see how can I make it happen now. Yeah? That's one simple example of slowly aligning ourselves with truth. Okay. The next one is ahimsa. Yeah, I think last Friday we even did a workshop through art therapy on the topic of ahimsa, and very many ways in which we do this, where we talk about non-violence is not about simply becoming a doormat. Yeah? Non-violence is not about simply accepting any and every behavior. Non-violence does not mean that you don't have personal boundaries. Yeah? Non-violence means your immediate reaction, the starting of it is about how to come from much more non-violent place rather than violent place, right? Mm, many times people, when they start doing this, getting into the yoga path, and when they hear about ahimsa and they hear about non-violence, they think that, oh, I'm not going to be violent. I won't even get angry. I won't even get mad. Yeah. This is distorting it, right? It's not about that. It's about, again, if someone is coming to, let's say, attack, you can defend yourself. Yeah. You may not want to use violence as the first go. You can go step by step. You can have, like, there is a very famous in one of the Indian cultural texts, which is Sama, Dama, Beda, Danda. So you start by saying, you start by, they're like step by step, there is a hierarchy, right? You start by first simply putting it across nicely, like in a very common way. And then you start by pointedly being assertive, not aggressive, right? Assertive versus aggressive. We need to understand the difference, right? And then being raised voice. Yeah. There is another very famous quote which one of the spiritual guru uses is, Um, anger is like um, anger like is like a handkerchief. Keep it in the pocket. Use it when you have to, yeah, and then don't use it when you don't have to. You can use it, right? Mm, then the last part is like violence. If someone is attacking you, start by saying nicely, and then a little more, and then a little more, escalate a little more. Last one is like, physically, do that. So nobody's saying that it has to be, you have to be very, very timid. You can't raise your voice. You have to be, many times people distort this non-violence into that, especially in this corporate world, in this world, we need to be able to assert ourselves. We need to be able to voice our opinions, right? And there are places where, no, ahimsa path, I'll not fight. You need to stand up and fight for what you believe in true, right? But without causing harm to the others, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? If he wouldn't even write something specifically about it, right? This is where our creativity comes in place. This is where you think can come in place. Is there any better way? How many of us have done this in our life where we've gone through place where we used to be angry at certain things? Now we don't use anger anymore and we still accomplish the same results. How many of you have come there? Right? Right? So, like that. Hmm? Anger as a tool, right? And there is another thing called healthy anger. Yeah. Sometimes you got to express it out. Yeah. If you don't, then you start doing himsa towards yourself. See, now this is another thing to think about, isn't it? Ahimsa, okay, I will practice ahimsa towards the outer world, but I'll practice himsa on myself. All right. And then a lot of confusion when it comes towards eating, like vegetarian, non-vegetarian. Think about these things, reflect on these things, right? You have to understand where is it coming from? What is the impact? How is it? Okay. And some of these things, don't take it dogmatically and then try to preach it, then it becomes very difficult. Instead, think of it as something to take it upon and explore and reflect upon. Then you become truthfully, through Satya, you start incorporating the ahimsa aspect. It starts showing up to you. The animals and creatures, start being drawn to you, right? And if you have to use ahimsa also, if you have to use, you just do that and then drop that away. You just come out of it immediately. Okay. So that way you don't carry its karma through. Like you don't have its impact in your life, right? This is your second second part of the yamas. The third one is asteya. Asteya. It's very simple, very easy, which is non-stealing. Yeah. It is not a thing to say that don't steal. All right. Um, how many of us in our childhood have stolen money from our parents or some common kitty and stuff like that, right? It's okay because we were unaware, all right? But that's not it. Now, as we go further and further in life, right? As we go ahead in life, we have to look and see in what all ways we are still, there is some aspect of stealing. So most of us, we've come here, we all have good morals, but he wants to include it because then you can still look and see how can we keep on upgrading in terms of this also. Like you can even look at it as energy stealing or time stealing or stealing in places which you are not even aware of, being mindful. And when it comes to you, when it comes across to you, then what do you do about it? All right. See, guys, these are all things to think about, reflect upon, as yogis, as yoginis. We don't want to start changing today onwards. If it happens, no problem. If you try to force the change, it will last for a week or two and then it will bounce back. So start thinking about reflecting on it. You won't even have to change the behavior. It will start changing, right? For those of you who joined a bit late, yeah, I'm just recapping this, the whole idea of Ashtanga Yoga. We are looking at Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. Isme we are looking at Yamas. The first one is Satya, then Ahimsa, then Asteya, non-stealing. The next one is Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is another one which is through culturally, dogmatically, in various ways, it got majorly misunderstood. It's not just about refraining from sex. It is about Brahma Acharya. Like it is about redirecting your primordial energy in the right pathway. Okay. Or using the energy, using the primal sexual energy in the right form. Yeah. There are times where you need to direct it in the right way. There are times when you don't, the more and more you learn about this, the when you direct it in the right way, it becomes creative form. It finds its expression in creative form. We don't want to suppress anything. Yoga does not talk about anything about suppressing, right? It's about transcending it or channeling it in a different direction. That's what we look at. Okay. And in the same pathway, I don't know, you might have heard about these, yeah, chakras, right? There are like 7 major chakras. There are so many chakras in the body. The Mooladhara chakra, the Swadhisthana chakra. When you channelize, or when it is, Mooladhara chakra is commonly referred to as the base or the sexual energy chakra. When you channelize it, you allow for the energy to flow through it in the right pathway, and it goes via Sushumna Nadi through the right pathway. So that is another way to look at. Again, start exploring. We're just giving a starting point. We're just touching upon these topics. It's a very basic, right? Then we'll go deeper in it as we go further. And the next one is aparigraha. Aparigraha in this day and age, it's so relevant. Yeah, aparigraha simply means non-hoarding. Yeah, no greed. Yeah, but we are trapped in the peak and the prime of material, right? Um, there is a small percentage of people, they just want to keep on hoarding and hoarding and hoarding and hoarding. Nothing against capitalism. Yeah, I think we're all able to exist in this free market because of that. But then again, there are some negative aspects to it too, which we want to look at it, right? What is the difference between need versus want? Yeah, it's very tricky. Yeah, when I say, yeah, what I want is need, what you want is want. What I want is need, it's proper. What you desiring, right? That's greed. It's easy for us to say that, for us to just justify to ourselves, like, what I want is fine, but the others, that person, it's very easy to see in others the greed. Within ourselves, we don't see that. Like the other day in my life, if I had to take an example, the other day, I was just, I think I had given this example to some of you maybe before, but yeah, I was just thinking that one had similar desire in your life. Okay, just raise your hand and tell me, those of you whose videos are off also, you can switch it on. You can show me your beautiful faces. We can have it as a, it'll be easy for me to interact rather than just looking at my own face, my own shiny head and watch. Right. So one of the thing is, one of the desire was that I want to be able to fly anywhere within the country any number of time without having to think about, do I have the money or not? Maybe it is a very common desire for people who grew up from 80s and 90s generation, or a certain middle class family or lower middle class. Maybe it's something to do with that. Maybe not. So somewhere we've seen through that, and then when it started happening, maybe the desire morphed into that. Anyone like that? Okay. So it's relatable, right? And then the other day I was saying, no, we should be flying only business class. Where did that come from? Some person had this desire, and somewhere in his blog, he shared it, right? I'm not talking about having the desire is wrong. I'm talking about unconsciously picking up desires. What happens when we pick up in desires unconsciously? We start working towards it. Then we pick up another, we start working towards it. We pick up another, we start working towards it. We pick up another, start working towards it. There are so many things now. We want to work on everything. Everything is giving stress now. On top of it, we don't even know which is the most important thing that we are working on. Everything is cluttered. So every now and then it's good to see. It's good to have desires. It's good to have goals, right? Because we have taken a material form. We are in the play of this particular Maya. We are all Grihastha yogis. We have all decided to go through the path of certain things, to experience certain part of life. If you look at ascetics also, they also they have only one desire, which is moksha, which is ultimate liberation. They want to go beyond all that, right? That's the ultimate liberation. Ultimate, going beyond the modulations, the 5 modulations of the mind, That's what yoga is. That is what the goal of yoga are. That's what the goal of a lot of Hindu culture, a lot of Indian culture kind of describes and prescribes that, right? Which is the ultimate goal is liberation or mukti from suffering or knowing yourself, right? In that case, then you got to have that as your primary goal. If someone has to be famous as an ultimate goal, then you have to pick up various other goals along with it in order to do that. If you want to make money as your certain amount of money, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 1 crore a year, yeah, whatever it is, right? If you make that as your goal, there are a number of things that comes along with this. Become conscious and be aware of it. And you got to be aware that we don't hoard any more desires. We don't hoard any more things. So that's what, again, he talks about. I'm not bringing this so that we become dogmatic and then like, these are the rules, these are the follow. No, we've got to use this scriptural text in this current contemporary time and apply it. And you got to be easy on ourselves as well. Yeah, because this becomes another stressing point on top of others. How is everyone doing so far? Give me a wave, give me a hand, give me a thumbs up. You're all resonating with me. You're all with me. Yeah. Okay, good. This is yama. Now, niyamas. That is the second limb. Ni yama. Now, internal. The earlier, if it was societal, now we are going inward. So that's where it starts. Huh? He starts with the external, the crosses that's possible to the deepest and the internal, the subtlest form. Okay. Niyama. Niyama is internal. Again, it's got to do with disciplines or rules or practices or best practices or whatever you want to call it, right? Or protocol. Yeah. Again, these are all, there are 5 protocols again. Yeah. This is a little more deeper. Soch, Santosh, Tapas, Svadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhan. Yeah. Soch. Soch is cleanliness. Is this even a thing that you should take bath every day? You should brush your teeth every day. Should it like, is it so important that he puts it in one some of the sutra? What is this cleanliness? But yeah, clean body, clean mind, purity in the heart. We don't think about clean heart, purity of the mind, purity of the heart on a regular basis. But if you look at this, when you practice the yamas, the niyamas is the consequence. When you start being truthful, when you start looking at ahimsa through like lens of kindness. See, I'm not talking about, that's what many people, again, I should have spoken about this there itself. Many people misunderstand niceness as kindness. These are 2 different things. Niceness is pretending to be kind. Kind is genuinely kind. Niceness is a veil, a pretense that we put on. Yeah. Generally, the more and more I start understanding this, the more and more I start becoming self-aware. I'm seeing more and more people. I can see the difference between niceness and kindness. I'm like, yeah, no, don't give me nice. It's okay. Just straightforward. Sounding rude is okay, better than niceness, right? Because niceness is still some work needs to be done over there, right? I'm not being unkind to nice people. That's not where I want to go again. But some more work needs to be done, some more thinking, some more looking at needs to be done. Yeah. So maybe give them a little direction and then let them be and understand that, right? Anyway, coming back to that. So cleanliness, purity, right? Now santosha is nothing but contentment. Again, this again connects very well with aparigraha, right? Contentment. Some of us, even I go through this. I do a lot of stuff, lot of work, and then still not content. Why? Always running behind. Always this productivity circle, the productivity drama. Jitna bhi karo. How many of you have this? Like in the end of the day, you've gone through to-do list and then you realize, oh my God, the to-do list complete se zyada incomplete abhi pada hai. And then we like realize that only when we complete the to-do list, then we will feel content and our life will be over. The problem, when you have 50 to-do list is over, there's another 100 waiting. When you complete the 100, there is another 200 waiting. The 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, khatam hi nahi hoga, right? So one of my mentors said this, Santa, you try this, right? Wherein you don't run your life based on to-do list. To-do list, likho, kyunki one part of you want. Kahin chupa ke rakh do. Go ahead and hide it somewhere, put it in the closet. I'm not saying never look at it. Maybe once a week, look at it and close it again. Because it's not a way to live. I'm not saying you do this. Inside of my particular scenario, that was relevant for me. I still do to-do list, right? If I didn't do a to-do list, I wouldn't be here. And my to-do list, like yesterday's to-do list, research about the eclipse of yoga. Another one was like, take out the important points that need to be talked about. Take out, now talk about relevance in day-to-day research about that. These were all to-do list. I couldn't have done this seminar without it. But at the same time, if I decided that because my research will never complete, my research isn't complete, it's never complete. Any of the workshop I prepare, it's always incomplete. Somewhere I draw the line saying, ho gaya, now Jairam ji. Or God is gonna do the rest. I've done the work, now it's on you. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do, and it has always worked. Yeah, in case if any of you have this anxiety issue or examination issue, presentation issue, this is a wiser, this is a wisdom. If you want to take it, take it. This is santosha, this is contentment in action, right? Contentment literally in action is do all the preparation, but mark a cutoff line, then call it, and then relax, just be. I know it's very difficult for some of us. Someone very close to me right now. Very difficult as the exam comes near. I'm like, I want to be content. No, I'm not able to be content. Once the exam gets over, pass your fail. But it's always pass. It's always flying colors pass. Those people no always pass with flying colors. All the friends around will hate it. Now you said you didn't do well, you didn't do well. Look at you, you come out with pass. And then like you can't explain to them, Arey, I was so stressed. I genuinely thought I won't do well. Genuinely I thought because out of the 300 pages, that one page, one particular thing you missed now. Oh God, that stress point. Right? I mean, this is spiritual wisdom in action, isn't it? Yeah. And contentment. Practice contentment not after things happen, but contentment as a starting point. Yeah. For me also it's difficult, but I'm a lot more content than I was, I can easily say. Um and ah next one is the tapas. Tapas, the way I look at it is to literally burn, to burn off impurities, to burn off inworkabilities, to burn off what doesn't work, to burn off untruths. Or you can look at it in other form as, you can look at it as austerities. Austerities like people used to, I want to talk about this a little more in the asana part of it also, but I'll talk about it right now also, is tapas, single pointedly working towards that particular thing that you are doing, even at the cost of other things. Like there is a certain friction, there is a certain burning, there is a certain fire. That's tapas. That aspect you gotta cultivate a certain discipline. If you look at ascetics, tapasvis, yogis, there are some yogis, they're like, I'll stand on one leg. There's a context to it. It looks like tapas. It is tapas for them. It looks really, really difficult for us, but then they draw the energy from somewhere else. And then it's not always easy, but then the tapas aspect they bring in and go through that, right? The idea is to channel the energies in the right place, not let it dissipate, not be distracted. The next one is swadhyaya. Swa is nothing but self. Dhyaya. Self-study, studying self, being self-aware, studying one's own values, knowing one's own nature, studying self through scriptures, using scriptures. Right now, what we're doing is swadhyaya, using scriptures to go through it, using scriptures, knowing oneself. Things like, why am I angry now? Now just become aware of yourself. 1 second, just become aware of yourself. Just notice your breath. Close your eyes now. Close your eyes now. Just watch your breath. Without placing the hands, just notice which nostril your breathing is dominant. Right or left? Open your eyes. Thank you. Yeah. Now let's corroborate with truth. Yeah. Put your hand here and check which nostril your breathing is dominant. How many of you got it right? No. Let me not. Hands, open your eyes. Let me ask a better way. How many of you got it correct? Not how many of you got it right, nostril line. How many of you got it correct? How many of you got it wrong? Yeah, how many of you not sure? Yeah, good. No problem. Be kind to yourself. Yeah, practice ahimsa now. Right? It's okay. Now be aware, self-awareness, right? So the awareness starts increasing. This is a small example. For example, the other day I was aware. I got angry unnecessarily. It was reacting. My emotions wasn't my next. The driver was the next line. Uske haath mein tha mera. Like, sorry, I went to Hindi a bit. He had my anger in his control. Do I want that? A lot of us are okay with it. Yeah. Now, no, I don't want that. Yeah. Can I use that anger and make it into a joy then? Yeah. Or things like that's one. The other one is like, did I get triggered here? This is a very, very difficult topic in this day and age. Trigger. Oh, this triggers me. If something triggers you, good. That's pointing you in the direction where you need to look at. How can something trigger you? How can? If you are your own, you want to be your own control, like you are your own master, then how can some external thing trigger you into something else? Then it's a good opportunity for you to look at, why is it triggering me? How is it triggering me? What is it that is within me unresolved that it is triggering me? Yes? Are you all with me? Okay. That is one way to look at it. Okay. Swadhyaya is self-study, and then Ishvara Pranidhan. Ishvara is not a person, is not like Lord Shiva, is a quality, is a tattva, is a principle, is an underlying thing, is a purusha, is a nature. It's the truth that is underlying. Surrendering to the truth, not nothing else. Surrender to the highest. Somewhere the surrender aspect in me didn't go very well. My ego couldn't take that surrender. I will conquer. I will conquer. How can you surrender when you want to conquer? That's the nature of the ego. Because one aspect of me genuinely thought that conquering is the way to win. But then when you realize surrendering is a bigger win, it's like winning the war versus winning the battle. Not surrendering to anything, everything randomly, to the highest. This again needs a little reflection. How many of you understood or done a little bit of research or a little bit of not research? Research is internal reflection on surrender and then understand surrender much deeper than what you did earlier. You understand that. Relinquishing control. Some of us don't want to relinquish control. Relinquish control and then you gain control. Think about it. Reflect on it. Okay. Now this is niyamas. Okay. Now let's talk about asanas. That's the third limb. Patanjali did not talk about headstand, not handstand, not Pincha Mayurasana, nor Padma Pincha Mayurasana. Yeah. These are all modern postural yoga. That's a lot of us have come into yoga through asanas, right? Very, very, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Yeah, but understanding yoga as only in the form of asanas is very, 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 very limiting. That's what I want you to know. Okay. Is it, guys, we are already 12:40. I just realized I had planned it a certain way, and then I'm realizing that this is, can I rush through which one you want, option A or B? Okay. Can I rush through and finish all these in 1 hour? Or can I go at the pace I want to go at and then keep it to the next session? This thing. Option 1 or option 2? Hey, you can't be quiet. You can't do no option. No option means 1. Yeah. No option, I'm going to assume it as 1. Then I'll quickly tell you. Okay. Are you all with me with this space? Are you all having fun? Are you all enjoying this? So far, it's going good. Okay. Good. Okay. Option 2. Thank you. Then I'm going to go at my own pace. Then we'll call it part 2. Yeah. Because this is the first time I'm doing such a workshop. I've always had these thing as a discussion, reflection, Q&A. So I knew how to pace it, what to do. But as a workshop module, I did practice a little bit. Not fully. So I kind of put it in time, but at the same time, sometimes one thread opens up other and I don't want to miss it. So that's why. Yeah. And I also want us to discuss a little bit. I want to keep the last 10 minutes at least for maybe some Q&A. Yeah. Um, yeah. Thanks for allowing me that. Coming back to the asana. The context, what Patanjali refers to asana here is Thiram Sukham Asana. That's all. Like you do asana so that you can be stable in meditation. That's as simple as that. That's all. You do your Sukhasana, you're done. You do your Padmasana, you're done. You do your Siddhasana, you're done. But look at us, look at me, look at us moving, how much we move. There is either stability is missing or Sukham, comfort is missing. Either we go into comfort and then go deep into sleep, or in order to be stable, we have to retain the Rajasa, right? Stability Rajas ho jata hai, and then Sukham Tamas ho jata hai. But then Stiram Sukham and in Sattva. Sattva is like a high energy state, relaxed, calm, and yet throbbing with life, like fully alive. Yeah. And that's why we do all these asana dramas, even though modern postural yoga is relatively new. Okay. And in fact, in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is about 5 centuries old, it's been 500, 600 years old. I may not be getting the dates correct. And then there are Giran Samhita. There is a few other asana bound texts which are there. They're all maybe 1,000 years old or 500 years old. Surya Namaskars is maybe 100 years old. It was like 100 years or less than 100 years back. And then the Ashtanga Vinyasa primary series that we do Mysore style work. This is about 80 years old, which originated. See, ultimately, so this is another thing which happens is that, oh, asana is not important. I'll just sit and meditate. No, the guys, if you feel like getting up, walking around while listening, please feel free to do that. I'm not going to feel jarred. I'm very comfortable. If you want to keep walking, yeah. I really avoid sleeping or avoid eating and stuff. But if you have to, I don't mind. Yeah, please go ahead. Do feel free to do what you need to do. Okay. Asanas, the ones that we are doing, that is there. It is modern postural yoga. All right. So there are two kinds in which people go into. One is they go deep into the part where all these yoga, all this spirituality, philosophy, scriptures, I don't need all that. I will go deep in the asana, I'll gain flexibility, I'll gain strength. I will go deep in asanas, one after the other asanas. So one hand handstand, finger handstand, and then this and that, this modify. We can keep on inventing, and we do too in the class. I teach that as well. You all know that, right? There is a deeper truth through it. I'll tell you why. They go in the direction or the other direction saying, oh, I don't like asanas. I'll just do very basic ones. I'll just sit and meditate. But then there is lots of aches and pains there. You always need a backrest, or your internal organs are not in like the optimal state of functioning. Your thyroid is out of whack, your intestinal system is like out of whack, or things like that. Both extremes in this current contemporary place that we are in, both the extremes is not a good idea, because in the olden days when this was written, right, or even Hatha Yoga Pradipika, two things I want you to understand. One is day-to-day life itself, the lifestyle itself was very active. They did not have Amazon. They did not have Swiggy. They did not have Zomato. If you had to eat healthy food, you had to go through the stuff. They did not have motor switch on and motor. Right now it's electronic. Now it's voice activated. Hey, I should say, hey Siri, it'll activate. Hey, so-and-so, do this, it'll get done. You don't even literally do mechanically. You used to switch on the fan, switch on. वो भी नहीं है. इतना कम हो गया activity. It's not bad. I love it. We should embrace the technology, right? It's okay. You have to go with that. I get that. I love. But what's happening is technology is using us rather than be using the technology. That's what is going. That's where it is going. Like the mobile phones are using us. We are not using it. We are its slaves. How many of you are relating to it? Yeah, maybe difficult to agree. Maybe some of you have got it under good control. kudos to you. Maybe you should talk more about it if you have it under control. Please. There are a lot of people are struggling and the world needs to know. The idea is for that particular timeline, there was a lot of yoga, asana practices and stuff present in day-to-day life itself, and movement was present, right? When we look at it in this day and age, strength, stability, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, regular endurance, right? Things like that were all present. We're all like, and food wise also, they were in a very good. Now we have to specially order organic. All the food that was all there was organic that age. And number two, the other aspect to look at is people who did these advanced asanas were only those who could specifically take time out only for asanas and only could take time out only for sannyas. Sannyas as in just focus on 100% time and attention on the liberation aspect. It is very austere. This is very, very intense extremes. Like the householders who are in the path of making money or making progeny, which is also important for society to propagate, right? Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So that is also important. Grihastha yogis, there is a beautiful structure with which it was designed. Yeah, there's called vana, like there is like ashrama, the 25 years ashrama in a person's life. There is brahmacharya, there is grihastha yogi, vanaprastha, and sannyas ashrama. Like that, they were properly designed it, and every stage had particular functions relevant to it. But there were some people who didn't want to get involved in all this, and they directly wanted to go to the extreme end range. Yeah, we are not all those. We want to enjoy the life. We want to go slow. We want to get there slowly, which is totally okay. So those kind of people used to do the extreme asanas and extreme body distortion work, right? Nowadays we're doing because now we have a lot of access to it and we are able to manage other aspects of the life, and then we are doing it. Number two is, if we don't do this practice, this is like basic level of fitness is also getting taken care of along with preparing the body to the next level. Does that make sense? Very important. The asana, the modern postural yoga, it's become very relevant because your basic level fitness is also taken care of. On top of it, your asana basic requirement, minimum requirement required for getting into the path of yoga, that is also taken care of. So that's why this is designed. That's why they don't go too much into the muscle building path. Yeah. I want to talk a little more about it. There is koshas in the body. There is different koshas. There is annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. These are sheath, layers of existence that we have. What we eat is annamaya kosha. And then there is prana, the breath, the mind, manomaya, vijnanamaya, and anandamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya is intellect, anandamaya is the bliss body, the self, the supreme, the ultimate self. Okay. So which one you feed, which one you want to do. So don't give too much attention to the annamaya kosha, that is the physical, the gross also. You need to give it importance. You need to take care of it because it's a very important. Just like how we need to take care of the external surrounding and how to take care of morals and relating with people, you also need to take care of the outermost layer of that. That is the body. Okay. That's why asana becomes relevant. Okay. Now, and there is nothing wrong with the way. I love it. Like new forms in which the yogas are coming. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of bear yoga or a goat yoga or something. Yeah. These are all distortions in my opinion, but then anything is going to have its distortion. But there are various other forms in which it's growing. I love the way yin yoga is present. I love the way Iyengar yoga involves a lot of props, and there are some people who really need that pathway. And I know a lot of people who have gotten their life better in terms of physical fitness, physical health wise, and also in the yogic path better because of that, right? So I know it's going to grow also. I know there are some modifications that's going to come in this, and there is relevance to the old scriptural text. Yeah, how do you want to live is not fully dogmatic about the old and only be very modern, but the beautiful way in which you can integrate these both makes one wiser. At this point of time, I'm going to give a pause. I'm going to end the conversation here. We've come till asana. We've discussed how many limbs so far. Can you all show me with your fingers? Good. Yeah. Wow. We've discussed only three limbs: yam, niyam, asana. Yeah, we will take up pranayam, pratyahar, dharan, dhyan, samadhi. In the next one, we will complete the rest of it. This is also part of Bahirang Yoga, external. Then Antarang Yoga will talk. Pratyahara is a very important part. We speak about meditation and how do you get into there, what are all the things. And then the Samadhi also, there are various things we speak about. We will talk about more in that then. Okay, at this point of time, I will end this session as in I'll give a pause and then I'll let you guys ask me any questions if you have. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to share.
I have a question, not so related to the eight limbs, but something you mentioned earlier, um, which is, I mean, related to the phone usage. Actually, you you mentioned that that's become such a big part of our life, and which is why our physical activity has reduced, and even our mental capacities are limited. So, what tricks, or I mean, what not tricks? What methods are people using to curb that? Because I feel like I also spend too much time on my phone, and it's sometimes quite problematic, but I don't know how to start that.
Yeah. A, thank you. Brave of you to admit. A. B, this is not you alone question. Others might also have. C, I don't know the answer, but I'm gonna try on what I've seen worked with others and what worked with me. All right. The whole idea of I want to limit this somehow doesn't sit well with me. In life in general, it's somewhere, anyhow, we overdo something always as a compensation of something else. Right. That's how I always see it as. So the way I see it is there is deeper connection to self missing, or there is a certain discomfort in being bored. That's why we quickly switch. Like, for example, let's look at the trigger points where we take the phone. Like, I'm talking to you, there is a lull in the conversation. How many of you taken the phone right now and then check messages on WhatsApp? Yeah. How many of you got, checked? Yeah. Again, I'm not here to pinpoint or say anything. My hand went a couple of times to check. That's how it is. All right. The other day, I don't know if I should say this, if I should admit this in the public forum. Like, there was IPL going on, and there was like TV show going on, and then I was like playing something with the phone. Three phones, three digital. That was not enough for me to get my monkey brain entertained. And then I got aware, like I have a very compassionate spouse, so she said it in a very nicer way, which is, "Wow, three things now to keep you on." And then she went away. So that's the one thing. So like, and then I started thinking, "Wow, is this what it is?" And then I shut one by one and I sat. I was like staring. I think I stayed then or I stayed later. I was just looking for some time. Then I went into deep introspection, then thinking, "Ki, who am I? Who am I being at the time?" Most of the time, I'm not present. I'm not connected to the self. I'm not rooted into who I am. Most of the time, when I'm in this low state, I call this low state of being. A very high state of being. I am so present. I'm so lovingly present for someone around. Nothing anyone can say can put me down. Even in the toughest of situation, I'm so happy. I'm like alive, like I'm in a state of dance there. But anything that is thrown at me, I dance back with kindness, or I dance back with the right kind of response, and then take it. The conversation flows. People feel loved around. People feel connected around. Let's not use. I sometimes go into romantic love word, flowery word. Let me use simpler word, connected. Right? And then people are connected. People are feeling heard. And then I I've been introspecting too. Yeah, and one more thing, which is again, and this is about the end goal. Now, the sadhana aspect, if you want to look at it in terms of rules, मुझे rules बताओ कि, this is somewhere I think I heard from Gabor Mate. I don't know if you guys I've spoken about him to you. If you're not, look him up. He's amazing. He speaks about a lot of stuff. He talks a lot to do with childhood trauma and parenting and stuff, but still it's very relevant to all of us still. It's like lock away your phones and devices. Just be. Yeah. There is another mentor who said, like, I do boredom as a sadhana. Boredom as a sadhana. Wow, mind blowing. Let's start by saying that let me get bored. Chalo, bore ho jaye. I tried, like, I think some of you saw my Instagram stories and rants in the last 2 days, last 24 hours, what I went through and what and all I shared. And yeah, I was just sharing with a friend. So many people like gave so much love. I was just telling maybe every day, I should also become like one of those professional victims and then like keep saying something so I'll get a lot of attention. I was just joking about that. But anyway. So I couldn't sleep like 3:30. Yeah. And then I was like, oh God, if I don't sleep now, I can't be present for the workshop. Oh, if I don't sleep now, I'm going to get, if I don't sleep now, I'm like, on top of it, so many other negative threats started coming. And then I caught myself after, okay, let's accept this situation as it is. Okay, let's see, let's live with this. This is what it is. This is the dharma for me right now to live with it. Yeah. A deeper sense of acceptance of that boredom, right? Things started easing. I started, yeah, then it became very easy, it became lively, it was not bothering as much as anymore, and it went to a nice beautiful state, and I did journaling sometimes. Okay, this is one aspect. The third aspect is build and design a life around which doesn't involve phone all the time. Things like painting, pottery, but these are all habits, these are all hobbies. But what if our work is connected with being on the phone all the time or being on the laptop all the time? How many of us are in that state? Yeah, quit your job. No, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, say Santa while being on the phone, while listening, while looking at the digital thing. So let's take time and reflect. Yeah, let's take this as a homework. Yeah, all of us. Yeah, let's come up with ways to let's redesign our lives. How can we not mess up our source of income or not mess up our existing structures? How do we design a life in such a way that there is some kind of a distance from social media? How can we connect deeply to ourselves? Yeah. Things like I picked up some games, I play badminton and stuff. Things like connecting with people, doing breakfast meetings if you're in the same city, doing lunch meetings or walk and talk meetings, not phone meetings. If you're doing phone, see, for me, I don't have particularly problem in connecting with phone per se, but then the problem is incessant looking at reels. Like 3 hours are gone, 3 hours, like half 15, 20 minutes is gone. I'm like scrolling. I'm like, what am I feeding? Like, what am I doing with this? Where is this come? I'm trying this is not what I want to do. Or checking WhatsApp every now and then as if some important person's message. Yeah, let it come and go. No, it's okay. Yesterday I was last night I was at dinner. Sorry, Nikita. You were there. There are so many calls. At least you, I replied. Huh? The others I didn't reply. Okay. So many I didn't reply. I didn't even bother. I mean, it feels complete. And it's not. Some people are like, oh, please, 2, 3 calls did it. And then it turned out it wasn't an emergency. It's okay. If there's an emergency, someone else knows. It's a 911. It's 100. It's an emergency. Reach out. Reach out. I don't know. Does this help at all, Preeti? This is help now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's with these kind of things, I feel like, we just get stuck sometimes. So even picking up on small cues might sometimes just give you like that right idea to find your own path out of it, right? So I think
Sorry,
definitely
can you
helps.
say that again?
I'm saying sometimes with these things which are so everyday, we just get stuck, atak jate hai. But when you talk to someone, you find cues and the right ways to kind of emerges from it, I think automatically when you just have some ideas in your head.
Okay. Like you're talking about being in space like this and talking to people like this
Yeah.
who are all in similar path of wanting to. Correct. Yeah. And I find a lot of inspiration in life from Instagram. I find a lot of inspiration in life through social media. So I don't want to say no. I don't want to create a negative relationship with social media. I think it's a beautiful tool. But because I was just talking to someone. He's like, I removed Instagram, but then I'm doing YouTube shorts. एक नहीं तो दूसरा दूसरा नहीं तो तीसरा, like it's all going to happen, but then the innate nature in you, that is what we want to impact, not just outside external symptoms. The reason why it's happening, you go to the root of it. That's what I'm interested in. We'll take any other questions in next week. Yeah, all right, okay, all of us sit comfortably. Let's all sit with the eyes closed. We'll come to the closure of the session. Bring the hands in front of the chest. First, take a deep, long breath in. As we breathe out, we'll, from our heart chakra, we'll give a little thank you to everyone in this space. Thank you to everyone who participated. Thanks to everyone who asked the question or shared their presence. Now, thanks to ourselves for bringing ourselves here. Taking a deep breath in. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much. Please feel free to share your feedback. Yeah, feel free to share how it was, what I could have done better. Yeah, or how was it for you? Any kind of feedback. If you feel like sharing it in social media and tagging me, please do that. If you feel like writing something or sending video, I'll do that. My goal is that I want to spread this knowledge to a lot more people. I feel like this is something which has saved me. These knowledge, these scriptural texts, these aligning with these truth has given me a lot of freedom internally, a lot of freedom externally, um, in terms of establishing boundaries or asserting myself and moving on with my purpose and power, finding the right drive, finding the right people, aligning with life in general overall. I feel like this knowledge has helped me and I want to bring it to more and more people. Yeah, in whichever way you also think that you also, if you also agree, please feel free to do that. Okay, bye all. Enjoy your Sunday. I will see you all in the Asana Sadhan tomorrow morning. Bye.